AITA for leaving my boyfriend after finding a woman in our bed. So I, 26F, am going on a trip to London with my sister today. I've been staying with her since yesterday because she lives close to the airport. I realized I forgot my passport at my apartment where my boyfriend, 27, and I live together, and I had time to go back and get it, so I did. I texted him this morning to let him know I was coming back to get my passport, but he didn't respond. When I got there, he looked really antsy and suspicious. I went into our bedroom and found a woman I don't recognize lying in our bed, fully clothed. I just went on autopilot, grabbed my passport, told him we're over, and left. Now my boyfriend is blowing up my phone saying that the woman is his longtime friend and that she's a lesbian who just needed a place to crash for the night. I don't believe him because he never mentioned anything about her staying over while I was gone, and the whole situation feels off. He's saying I'm making a huge mistake and that he's telling the truth, but honestly, I'm just really hurt and confused. He's begging for me to hear him out and is apologizing, but this whole situation is not right. So AITA for leaving him? Should I believe his explanation or is my gut telling me the truth? We just signed the lease 2 months ago and I'm literally leaving the country today, so it's a horrible and stressful situation. Update: I've never updated a Reddit post before, so I hope I'm doing this right. I went to London with my sister. I told my ex I wouldn't be speaking to him, and I enjoyed our girls' trip. As soon as I returned to the USA, I went and got tested for STIs, and turns out he gave me chlamydia. I'm being treated for it now, but I'm going to see the gynecologist soon because I'm not sure how long I've had it. I'm asymptomatic. I last tested negative for all STIs in July 2023, right before I started seeing my ex. He's the only person I've been with since then, so he obviously gave it to me. I'm worried he's had it this entire time, and so have I. But I'm trying not to overthink the cheating/timeline of the chlamydia. I want to focus on my health. He never admitted to cheating. We're still broken up, and I don't plan on going back to him. Since we just signed a brand new lease back in February, we're discussing what to do about the apartment. I've been staying with my sister since we got back, so I'm thankfully not stuck in the apartment without a support system. I really appreciate everyone's advice. I've never been in this situation before. I was embarrassed to tell my family at first, so I went to strangers on the internet. I probably won't update this post again since there isn't much else to say. Thank you all for helping validate my confidence to leave him. AITA for leaving my boyfriend's birthday dinner after his mom took my seat as a joke. I, 25F, have been dating my boyfriend Matt, 27M, for almost 2 years. His family is very close, and his mom in particular has always been a little... I've tried not to make a big deal out of it, but it's clear she doesn't like that I take up his time. And she's made passive-aggressive comments like, I hope I don't lose my son to some girl, even though we've been together for a while and I've made every effort to be kind and respectful to her. Anyway, last weekend was Matt's birthday. He invited me to dinner with his family at a nice restaurant. I dressed up, got him a gift I knew he'd love, and was honestly looking forward to the night. When we arrived, I noticed his mom had saved the seat right next to him for herself. That's fine. Whatever. I sat on his other side, but right before we ordered, his mom made a joke about how I always need to be next to Matt, and said, let's see how you handle a little separation. Then she literally stood up, looked at me, and said, scooch sweetie, motioning for me to move down a seat so she could sit between us. Everyone at the table laughed, Matt included. I was so stunned I just quietly got up and moved. For about 5 minutes, I sat there, feeling small and humiliated, while she leaned over Matt like he was her date. So I stood up, grabbed my bag, and said, actually, I think I'm gonna head out. Hope you have a great birthday, Matt. And I left. Matt blew up my phone later saying I completely overreacted, embarrassed him in front of his family, and can't take a joke. His mom texted me a sorry you were so sensitive message, which just made it worse. Now he's not speaking to me until I apologize. I honestly feel like they were the rude ones, but it was his birthday dinner, so now I'm second-guessing everything. AITA for saying my boyfriend's friend can't visit us now that I'm pregnant. My boyfriend has a friend who is currently doing the whole van lifing thing and living out of his van. The past several months, this friend has been coming by our house a couple days a week. Each time he's here, he stays around 10 to 12 hours to use the shower, kitchen, washing machine, and Wi-Fi. I've been unhappy with the lack of privacy and the extra work for quite a while, which my boyfriend is well aware of, but have been putting up with it because the friend is down on his luck and could use some help. However, now that I'm pregnant, I'm ready for this situation to end. I want to be able to lay on my couch without pants, not shove my giant tired boobs into a bra constantly, and talk about my private medical details with my partner without having to whisper about them in another room. I'm also just worn out in general, and the friend is generating so much extra work. He comes into our home after doing construction jobs and tracks in tons of dust and dirt. Every time he showers, he somehow leaves a thick coating of body hair all over the shower. I have to clean up before I can shower again. After he uses the washing machine, there's sticks and leaves and sand all over the laundry room. Not only does does he hog the kitchen when I want to cook meals sometimes, but he also leaves all his dirty dishes for me to deal with afterwards. Ideally, I'd have my boyfriend deal with the extra work, since he's the one who's inviting the dude over, but with his busier work schedule, most of the household work falls to me. So to me, it's a no-brainer that the friend finds somewhere else to be for a couple months to give me some privacy and a break from the added work. However, when I brought this up to my boyfriend and told him it was time to set a boundary with the friend, he told me it was first of all a very awkward and weird thing to ask his friend, and secondly a cruel and insensitive thing for me to request. He's willing to do so for me, but at the same time is making it very clear he thinks I'm a monster for even asking him to do this. Is it actually reasonable for me to put a no visitors rule in place for a few months or not? AITA. For siding with my BF when my sister and Bill tried to take over my business. My sister and I had a falling out, and my husband and I want to know if we should apologize or just move on. I've been running a business for quite a few years now, and it was small, but I never really tried to make it anything big. I was content just getting by and doing something I enjoyed. Eventually, I started dating someone who had the time, energy, and resources to start helping me grow. He rebranded my business, and it grew. It was fun, and eventually I got my partner more involved. He went to a trade show with me, and we got an idea together to grow the biz more. My BF had a great idea to include my sister and her spouse, because we thought it would benefit them financially and bring us closer together. Big mistake. Even though my BF and I each invested about 50% into the expansion, and my sister and her husband invested nothing, it wasn't long before they started telling everyone it was their business. I would talk to people who would tell me they talked to the owners, which was funny to me because it was actually my BF and I who risked everything financially to purchase the expansion and grow it. We just invited them to come along for free, and we even gave my BL a job because he had been unemployed for years. It went downhill from there. My BF and I aren't big on attention, so we didn't really care that people thought my sis and BL owned the business. But then they started giving their friends huge discounts, sometimes free, and doing it without our consent. On top of all that, my BF and I found out that my dad, who handled accounting, was paying my BL double what we discussed for working for our company. All of this was without our knowledge. Meanwhile, my BF declined to take a salary for all of the work he was doing for what was now our business, even after he had invested his own personal money into it. I got upset enough and tried talking to my sister, and my BF tried talking to my BL, but things quickly fell apart. My BL started telling my BF he wasn't going to do parts of the job, so my BF and I took on all the work while BL was making a double salary, and my BF was taking nothing. I didn't even increase my salary while we were trying to grow. We realized maybe inviting them to join us was a mistake, but we truly had the best of intentions. We tried to find ways to talk to them, but they got passive-aggressive, and recently my BF finally told BL to go fuck yourself. Anyway, he said that he would, and now they're no longer working for us. My parents have sided with my sis and BL, but they haven't heard our side. This whole situation hurts BC. My sister has always been my BF, but I can't figure out what we did. We have asked, but at this point they're only rallying the troops against us. I've tried talking to my sis, who won't respond. I want to protect my partner, and I think he was justified after having dealt with my BL's bad attitude for weeks. If we did something wrong, I want to apologize. AITA. For stopping my boyfriend's proposal at our best friend's wedding. I, F26, and my boyfriend, M25, attended a mutual friend's wedding. They're very close friends to us and brought my boyfriend and I together. My boyfriend and I are coming up on our 3-year anniversary, and things were getting pretty serious, enough so that I very much wanted to marry him. He's sweet, chatty, typically considerate, and empathetic. He's the person who I thought was the first to show me what a truly healthy and compassionate relationship was like. He's very serious about us too. We've had long talks about marriage, and it seemed we were in agreement with no formal declaration. We had even gotten as far as looking at rings, so the chance of a proposal was more of a when, not if. A few weeks before the wedding, us and the engaged couple at the time were hanging out. The topic of weddings was very prevalent, and my boyfriend had cracked a joke about proposing at our friend's wedding. The to-be groom joked back and said that'd be funny as hell. This was followed by me and the to-be bride both shutting it down, trying to be serious but also not thinking he was serious. He was. During the reception, everyone had made their speeches and people were getting their food. While our table was waiting, my boyfriend went up to the DJ, and after they played my boyfriend and I's favorite song to scream sing in the car together, Story of My Life by One Direction. I look at him smiling and he's looking around. All of a sudden he grabs a fork, stands up and begins clanging on a glass. Immediately the whole dining room looks over. I stand up and whisper the words, "Not right now." His face drops and he yells a mix of, "I'm sorry, I was just joking."
After he sat back down, I verbatim said, "Let them have their moment. Let's make this our own." He wouldn't even look at me. When it was time to get our food, he immediately goes toward the exit. I follow and tried to catch up to him but couldn't find him. I text him twice and call him a couple times but got no answer, so I went back to the reception. After not hearing from him for about an hour and a half or so, he returns, sits down, and doesn't even look at me. The rest of the night was terrible. He looked like his dog just died, and I'm trying to make the best out of the night but felt like I was just in his shadow. I was prepping for a breakdown or maybe a fight in the car, but the only thing he said was, "I don't want to talk about it right now," and the drive was just quiet and awkward. He sent me a long text about how hard it was to get the ring, how he felt rejected by his closest person, and that I embarrassed him. I tried to explain that it's not that I didn't want to marry him, it was our best friend's wedding and they deserve their moment, that we should create our own and not piggyback off theirs. He got offended and said that if I wanted to marry him, I wouldn't have stopped his proposal in front of everybody. This situation perplexes me. I've never seen the appeal of proposing at someone else's wedding and tried to handle the situation in a way that I felt was calm and chill, but he's very adamant that I ruined the proposal, made him look like an asshole, and thus am the asshole. Am I missing something? Should I admit I was wrong and have just let his proposal go at our friend's wedding?
AITA for taking my boyfriend and his daughter to my family gathering, knowing it would make my BL uncomfortable. Hey everyone, so I know the title is awful, but that's literally what went on. For a bit of context, I met my Mark 5 years ago when I began babysitting his daughter while he worked. A single dad, mom is deceased, and since Lily and I got along great, I became the sole babysitter when he needed. It was practical because we were living 2 streets apart, and just overall the best choice because I was available, liked them, and they liked me. But eventually, him and I fell in love, and I quickly moved in with him and his daughter, to whom I became a second dad. But here's the core of the problem. My sister, F35, is married to my biak Till, so every family gathering, I see him. He's relatively a nice guy, though we're not friends, but he never met Mark. When I started dating Mark, he didn't want to come to my family gatherings at first because he's not comfortable around people. He's a shy guy, and of course I understood that. But last week, it was my mom's birthday, and she really wanted him and our daughter to be there, so he finally accepted. When my sister and my biak Till found out he would be there, they were mad at me, and I didn't understood why at first, until she took me apart and called me insensitive and egoistic toward my biak Till for inviting him, even though I had no idea why it made him uncomfortable. Apparently, when he was young, his parents divorced because his dad cheated with his babysitter, and it caused him a traumatism. I told her it was bullshit, that my boyfriend was part of my life, part of my family, and I wouldn't exclude him because her husband was uncomfortable. I also reminded her that there was no cheating, no breaking of trust or anything in my relationship with Mark, but she just called me insensitive again and left. My mom's birthday party was 2 days ago, and my family loved Mark and Lily, but all day, my sister and BL kept glaring at us and muttering insults or mean comments under their breath. They brought it up again after dinner, but directly to my boyfriend and our daughter this time, telling her that your dad and his boyfriend are disgusting freaks, or that he's a cheater who doesn't care about your dead mom. Obviously, my boyfriend and I absolutely lost it against them. Knowing my boyfriend's temper, I told him to take our daughter to the car while I was ripping a new one to my sister. We left shortly after apologizing to my mom for the mess it caused. Now my family's group chat is divided. Mostly everyone is on our side, but a few of my extended relatives are on my sister BIL's side, saying that we went too far and should have just ignored them or went back home. Now I know that my mom asked for them to come, but I'm feeling really guilty that it ruined her birthdays to have this drama. So AITA for telling my boyfriend's family that I bought our house, not him. This whole thing started last month or so. Me, 27F, and my boyfriend, 26M, who I will call Matt for privacy's sake, have been together for 6 years now. I'm the main breadwinner, and that has always been a struggle in our relationship. I would say he is pretty insecure of earning less than me. About a year ago, I had finally saved up enough to purchase a house in the neighborhood I really like. Up until then, me and Matt had been living in his apartment, which is cramped and not located in a nice area. Matt has never been too bothered about moving. He likes living in his apartment, and he doesn't mind living elsewhere as long as it doesn't have to pay more than half. Knowing damn well I could easily purchase the whole house, and it was a bargain for the area, I bit the bullet and bought it from all my own savings. When we moved in, Matt loved the place, and I thought everything was fine. Now this is the reason I am posting on Reddit. 2 days ago, me and Matt were over to his mom's place for dinner. Conversation was going fine until the topic of our house was brought up. Miel mentioned how proud she was of Matt for owning his own house at 26, which I was confused about but obviously didn't want to start anything at the dinner table. Then Matt's sister chimed in about how much of an achievement it was. Matt looked over at me, not saying anything. I'm not usually a petty or confrontational person, but something about the fact that I was the one who not only bought the house, but also paid majority of the bills, and Matt didn't even drop $1, stuck with me. So I decided to say something. I asked Matt who really bought the house in front of everyone. I know it was a dick move, but honestly, I was so riled up by that stage. Matt said nothing, and then I announced to everyone that Matt didn't even contribute to buying the house. Immediately after saying that, I packed up my stuff and went home. I have been texting with Matt's sister. I will call Kate, who seems to be on my side. Matt is staying with his mom right now, so I have the house all to myself. He hasn't contacted me yet, and I don't know whether it's worth breaking up over a lie like this. Am I the asshole?
AITA for telling my boyfriend's kids to eat what's for dinner or don't eat at all. I, 27F, have been with my boyfriend, 30M, for a little over a year now. We recently moved in together. I have an 8-year-old from an ex, and my boyfriend has 2 kids, ages 6 and 9. Since we moved in together, I now have his children every weekend, and he works Fridays, so I am alone with them till he is off work. Friday night, I made meatloaf with roasted broccoli and mashed potatoes. My son eats well, he knows to eat the best he can, and if he don't finish his food, that's okay, but he at least has to eat the most he can, unless he don't want a before bedtime snack. I hold my boyfriend children to these same rules, which we haven't had any issues with till Friday night. Neither of the kids liked the food. The 9-year-old ate it, the 6-year-old refused, in which I said, I'm not making you another meal, so he went to bed without dinner. When my boyfriend got home, his 6-year-old was complaining he was hungry, and my boyfriend got upset with me that I refused to make him something else. I told him I wouldn't hold his children to different rules than my child. He got upset and ended up making him something else to eat, then told me that was horrible of me to deny a child dinner and blamed it on his young age, explaining I had to be more lenient. I explained that I had raised a young child before and I was once a young child and followed those same rules, which just resulted in a huge argument and him calling me ignorant. Today we got a call from my boyfriend's ex, and now the children don't want to come till Saturday or Friday night late when my boyfriend is off work. This caused another big argument between my boyfriend and I. He once again called me an ignorant a-hole and said I needed to change my way of thinking. AITA? I did not force this kid to go to bed hungry. I suggested him to eat a larger portion of his mashed potatoes and smaller portion of other things, which he refused, and he didn't want to make anything else himself.
AITA for telling my sister and boyfriend the inappropriate thing my BL said to me. I, 25F, live with my sister, Emily, 27F, her husband, Connor, 25M, and their son, Owen, due to a variety of reasons, none of which are relevant to this story. The other night, 11/13/24, my boyfriend Marcus, 26M, came over to hang out, and some athletic snuggling ensued. After Marcus had left, I heard the baby crying and ended up in the hallway with Emily and Connor after Owen was put back to sleep. Emily had asked if Marcus was still in my room, and I told her no, he had left. Connor then says, "Thank God, I could hear you downstairs with my noise-canceling headphones on." I was reasonably embarrassed that he had heard anything, and even more so mortified that he had said that in front of my sister. I apologized and hoped that was the end of it. As Emily goes back downstairs, Connor turns to me and says, "Don't be sorry, now I have something to think about the next time I masturbate." I tried to brush it off, as Connor often makes inappropriate remarks, and I have always just ignored him in the past. I jokingly said, "Don't you mean you'll be thinking about Marcus?" And he responded, "No, Marcus is too quiet, I didn't hear him, I only heard you." Connor then goes back downstairs, and I retreat to my bedroom. I couldn't stop thinking about what he'd said and how uncomfortable it made me, so I texted Marcus to ask him if I was overreacting. Marcus was absolutely furious. He wanted me to tell Emily, but I was hesitant, as I didn't want to make Emily and Connor fight. I told him I would talk to her in the morning, hoping it would blow over and Marcus would forget about it, but he texted Emily. Emily then came into my room, and I started crying, saying that Connor's comment had bothered me, but I didn't want to make it a big deal. Emily said that she would talk to Connor about it in the morning and make him apologize. I told her it didn't matter and it wasn't a big deal, but she insisted that he needed to apologize for it, especially since he has made inappropriate comments before and knows they make me uncomfortable. The next day, 11/14/2A, I could tell something was tense between Emily and Connor, but I came home late, so I didn't interact with them much. Right before I went to bed, Emily asked me if Connor had apologized, and I told her I hadn't even talked to him, so no. Today, 11/15/2A, I heard Connor and Emily arguing downstairs, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. Eventually, Connor storms upstairs, and I hear him say, "No, I'm not going to. It's not my fault that none of you can take a fucking joke." I know they were talking about Wednesday night. I knew Emily would be upset, but I didn't know Marcus would be so angry, and I didn't know it would cause this giant fight between Emily and Connor. AITA for saying anything at all. Edit, I hear them having sex regularly. It seems like people think the issue is that we were heard, but the issue is what he said about it. They made a baby in this house. Marcus and I hear them all the time when we're just hanging out here. Also, it's our house, that me and my sister own together, along with our parents. I'm not staying at their house. It's just as much my house as it is theirs.
AITA
For breaking up with my BF over this. I, 23M, broke up with my boyfriend, 25M, of 2 years last night, and now I'm wondering if I overreacted. My cousin 29F just got married to her wife 28F in this beautiful ceremony. They're the first queer couple in our family to get married, and it meant a lot to me personally. Growing up, I didn't even know if I'd be allowed to be out, let alone see two women I love and admire stand up and be celebrated. My boyfriend, we'll call him Zach, came with me. He's met most of my family before and everything seemed fine. During the reception, things got emotional. A few people gave unplanned toasts, and my cousin asked if I wanted to say something. I kept it short, just said how proud I was, how beautiful it was to see queer love honored like that. That was it. When I sat down, Zach leaned over and quietly whispered, "You know, for someone who's not even in the wedding, you're really trying to make it your moment." I thought he was joking and gave him a look. Then he added something along the lines of, "You gonna cry again or save it for our wedding that we're never having?" He smirked like it was nothing. I laughed awkwardly because I didn't want to cause a scene and ruin my cousin's wedding, but it stuck with me. I didn't say anything right away because it was not the time or place. I didn't want to make the night about me or create any drama. Later, back at our hotel, I brought it up. I said his comment hurt, especially since he knows how much this wedding meant to me. He brushed it off saying, "Jesus, you're still on that? It was a joke. You were getting so sappy I thought you were gonna propose." I told him I didn't think it was funny and that he took a moment that mattered to me and made me feel stupid for caring. He kept calling me sensitive and said I was overthinking everything, like always. So I told him I was done. I packed my stuff, called a friend and left. He's texted since, saying I made a scene out of nothing, that I chose a weird hill to die on, and that I'll regret throwing away a good thing over a dumb joke.